Right, moving on with healthcare. Next up, Litha Healthcare. It was formed when the founders of a business called Litha, the Kahanovitz brothers, reversed their business into a failed JSE-listed entity called Myriad Medical Holdings. That was back in May 2010. They've got operations in biotechnology, virus protection devices and the likes, medical devices, and then the ordinary pharmaceutical type stuff. Recently acquired a business called Pharmaplan, which has introduced a new controlling shareholder into the business called Paladin Labs. They're out of Canada. Reason being that Litha bought Pharmaplan in consideration for a number of shares which they placed with those fellows. Market cap after all of this, 1.9 billion rand. Price to earnings ratio 16, not currently a dividend payer. Rob, you were saying this company is also considering the idea of a market delisted.
Yeah, they're looking like they're going to be delisted, and then the new Canadian partner will take them out, and they're saying R3.95 for that. So, that's come down there, so another premium that could be happening.
But when was that made, and why is it going down in this direction? That was more recently, right?
Yeah, it was early March.
Okay.
So that's come out, and that's probably that little bounce up there
last
again.
Little pop there.
Earnings just haven't been good. The last batch of earnings were a little bit poor. The revenue's there, but they seem to just have a lot of costs with a lot of restructuring and businesses that they're buying and putting together. So the earnings have just been a little bit weak. And that's why it's come down. But I mean, previously you can see how well it's done.
Yes.
They've got products like spirulina on over the counter, and lots of creams and nose sprays, eye sprays that are all homeopathic based.
Yes.
So quite good margins on that type of business. But really, what you're looking at here, they own a company called BioVac, which does the vaccines.
Right.
And that business.
That's the one that's a joint venture with some government department.
Yes, they own 52%.
Yeah.
And they distribute all the vaccines in South Africa for government.
Okay. So that's like, sort of polio shots and things that kids get in state hospitals.
Yeah, state hospitals, and then all of your shots going through, from 1 year old to say like 3 years old.
Yeah.
So all of that. Currently they're importing those, but and then just distributing them. But now they've applied for manufacturing licensing.
Yeah.
So once they start to manufacture locally in South Africa, the prices and their margins are going to go up extensively. So really, that BioVac business could be a really massive business for Litha.
Yes.
So that's really what you're looking at. And do you want to cap it at R3.95 if they delist? Because if that business comes right, it'll be a foothold into vaccines into the whole of Africa.
Okay.
So there's potential in this business, especially on the vaccine side. So you have to watch this space quite closely.
But clearly the Canadians know this too. That's why they're making the offer. I don't know what their stake is now, but it must be something around 35 or 40% or something.
Yes, because they're going to have to offer to minorities.
So they're going to make an offer to minorities, which may or may not be pitched at a level which indicates they actually want to get the shares or not. Yes. Maybe it'll be a bit low. Maybe they'll increase that because a few institutions say, yes, we're prepared to go, but only if you let us have a bit more, et cetera, et cetera.
And obviously Litha's going to have to come up with that money to pay out those minority shareholders. And I think, if people see the scope of BioVac, they're going to say, no, we want like 4 or 5 or 6 rand, and then they won't actually have enough money to do that deal. So I think it's more of a long-term hold and play on that BioVac business of theirs.
Okay, well that sounds quite interesting though. So are you hot on this one?
I'm hot on this one.
Okay, I like the sound of that. I'm going to go hot too.